Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ready Steady Play. So, Rising Sun is a game you've probably heard of, an incredibly big Kickstarter from Cool Mini or Not, designed by the famed Eric Lang with art by Adrian Smith, famed fantasy artist. This has all of the components that should make a good game, so we're going to run down the rules here today and find out what the game is all about. You may have missed the enormous Kickstarter for Rising Sun, but this copy here, this box will be coming to retail. There is a lot of other stuff too. Whoa! This is the full Kickstarter pledge. I won't be talking about any of this stuff in this video, but there will be another video where I go through how all of this stuff fits into your game of Rising Sun. So if you do have a big Kickstarter pledge and you're feeling a little overwhelmed by what's here, don't worry, it's not actually that complicated, and I'll walk you through just what to do with it. However, get rid of that. In this video, we're just going to be talking about the core rules of the game because they don't really fundamentally change with any of the Kickstarter editions, and it's actually not as complicated as it looks. Or rather, to put it another way, the complexity comes from the people and not the rules. Rising Sun is a game for 3 to 5 players out of the box. In the box, you're going to find a bunch of clans, which are these colored people here on the table. You'll find a bunch of monsters, which are these gray people. You'll notice I haven't painted mine. That was deliberate, so I could show you what was in the box. I've also got various tokens and decks of cards. We've got some hidey screens here, because at its core, this is a territory control war game that's suffused with action selection and diplomacy. At the heart of everything in Rising Sun, it's all about negotiation. There are 3 basic phases in Rising Sun: the tea ceremony, the political phase, and the war phase. In the tea ceremony step, you'll simply discuss whether or not you're going to ally with people. Alliances are great because it means that every time someone takes an action, they'll get a bonus and you'll share that bonus. Whenever anyone takes an action, everybody gets to take sort of a small part of the action, but if you have an alliance, you'll get a substantial bonus as well. And it also gives them a chance to leverage you as well. There is a betray action that you can take, which will betray your ally, but at the cost of honor. Honor is very, very important to Rising Sun because it breaks ties, and there's a lot of ties. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I actually think that the best way to explain Rising Sun is to very quickly go over what happens in the politics phase, then look at the war phase in depth, and then come back to the politics phase and sort of explain it in a bit more detail. But first, let's talk about how we set up the game. There are 3 seasonal phases: spring, summer, and then autumn. After that, there's a winter phase, which is just endgame scoring, and then the game is over. So there are 3 full rounds in which to do as much conquering of Japan as possible. In ancient Japan, they worshipped kami. The kami are represented by these kami shrines, which will be set up on the board at the beginning of the game, and they give you special bonuses. There are 7 different kami shrines, and the game will give you a selection which it recommends you start with, but in regular setup, you'll just randomly determine them at the start of the game. The game also comes with 4 seasonal decks. There's a core deck, standard deck. We've also got Archway, Horseman, and Tea Ceremony. Each of these decks comes with a selection of cards that corresponds to the 3 seasons that you play. So we've got spring, summer, and autumn. Now, the core set will always be used, and all of these cards will be included in every season deck. But what you'll do is you'll take one of these other season decks and combine it with the core season deck. So if we were going to play Teapot, for example, we'd take all the spring, summer, and autumn Teapot cards and add them to these decks. There's no shuffling required because these are going to form a marketplace of cards that can be bought during the course of the game. In this way, the game gets some replayability because you can always try different decks later with and each deck has a slightly different focus on things. Archway is quite well-rounded, Horseman focuses a bit more on war and honor, and Tea Ceremony focuses a bit more on allegiances. But you'll find these differences are very subtle. So the starting setup for the kami instructs us to put Amaterasu into the first position, Fujin into the second position, and then we put Hachiman in the third position, and Tsukuyomi in the fourth position. Susanoo, Rajin, and Ryujin are not played with in the recommended starting setup, but if you were to set this up normally, you would shuffle them all and just deal 4 randomly to those positions. The kami is important, and so is its position along the track. Then I take my core set of season cards. The game recommends for your first game that you use the Archway Seasons deck, but as later games come along, you can pick which one you want to use. So I'll take the Archway Spring cards and I'll add those to the core set cards. Same with the Summer and the Autumn. Then these can go somewhere near the board because we'll need them in a minute once the season starts. We're also going to grab our political mandate deck. These are all of the political mandates we can play in the game. As we go through the game, players will be picking these to choose different actions to take during the political mandate phase. At the start of the game, we just shuffle them and we put them down here. The next thing we do is get our clans set up. So I'll describe to you what the Lotus clan starts with and what they should be getting. Everybody gets a clan. Here I've got the Lotus clan, who are the purple people, the Turtle clan, who are the green people, and the Koi clan, who are the red people. In the core set, you'll also find the Bonsai clan, who are yellow, and the Dragonfly clan in blue. Every clan is essentially the same with 2 key differences. They have a slightly different income, which determines how much money you get, and money is very important. So that's a substantial difference. Well, and they also have many, many different models. But they also have a game-breaking ability. Every clan has an ability that fundamentally alters how they can play the game, and these abilities are very, very important and substantially different from one another. A clan consists of the clan screen, which is this. They also need one of these player boards, which has political mandates on one side and war advantages on the other. Now, the political mandates is just a summary of what each action does and is really just a rules reference for the political step. The war advantages actually comes into play in the war step because you'll be bidding on actions in secret during conflicts. Don't worry if that didn't really make sense, it will in just a minute. Everybody who gets one of these will also need one clan. So here we can see for the Lotus clan, the Bushi, who look like this and like this. These are ninja type guys and they're actually really cool. I like them a lot. We've also got these Shinto who look like this with the white bases. They're the warrior priests. And we've got the daimyo here. This is the most reliable piece in your army and also your coolest figure, probably. On your player board here, you'll be able to see all the models marked, although it only has one picture for the Bushi, so you'll need to remember that there are 2 sculpts that may not always match. It will tell you what your special ability is here. And on the inside of the board, it will tell you where your home province is, your starting honor rank. It will tell you, remind you of the special abilities of your soldiers. This is the same for every clan. And it will tell you your seasonal income up here as well. There's also a reminder of the endgame bonus here, but this is the same for everyone. You're also going to need a bunch of bases. These are if you buy any monsters, so you can note who they belong to. Here's an Oni. I think this is the Oni of Hate, but I could be wrong. Boom. There we go. Now he's a Lotus clan Oni of Hate. They'll also need 2 markers. One of these is going to track honor on the honor board, and the other one is going to track victory points on the victory points board. The honor tracker is here, and the victory points tracker is here. You're also going to need 4 strongholds, which look like this in the core set. Everybody is also going to need this yang piece. This is to signify when they make alliances in the tea ceremony step. They will combine theirs with the person with whom they have an alliance, and so you can remember that these 2 are allied. So everybody starts with their daimyo, a bushi, and a stronghold in their home province. We don't need to give everybody their starting income yet. They'll get that at the start of the first seasonal phase. So you can see here our Lotus clan's clan screen set up. They've got their political mandates board back here to remind them of the political mandate actions. That's because the political step comes first, but when the war phase is entered, they'll flip this over to the war advantages side. So if you remember, we start with 1 victory point piece on the victory point tracker. As you can see here, the victory points track goes all the way around the board and reaches the top corner here at 50. Once you've got more than 50 points, you'll have to go back to the start and track your points score again from the beginning. Now, Michael was convinced when we were looking at this that you first go around the track on the blank side of your token, and once you exceed 50 points, you turn it over to the side with the symbol and go round again. I couldn't find this anywhere in the rules, so I think he might have made it up, but it's quite a good system. And the other goes on your starting honor. The Lotus clan start with honor 3, so we'll put this one down here in the 3rd slot of the honor track. So now that Lotus clan is set up, I'll also set up Turtle clan and Koi clan. You may have noticed that Turtle clan's strongholds are a bit different to everyone else's strongholds. That's because they're attached to the back of a turtle. And the advantage of this is twofold. They have an effect on military power, so the Turtle clan actually gain more power in provinces where their strongholds are present, unlike the other clans, but also they can move. So the Turtle clan strongholds can actually move between provinces. Other strongholds cannot. It's also worth noting that players are instructed to sit in the order of their honor. For example, Koi clan, Lotus clan, and then Turtle clan, because this is the order of descending honor. So once all your players are set up on the board, you can actually just move all of your honor tokens into a single line. There should never be gaps in the honor track, because as clans move up and down the honor track, they simply swap positions with the ones above them. So if Turtle clan were to say gain 1 honor, he would simply swap position with Lotus clan here. But if Turtle clan were to move to the top of the track, everyone else would move down a step like this. And then it is actually time to begin the first seasonal phase. The game is set up now. And I recommend, by the way, getting out the monsters, because all of these decks are not shuffled and it's common knowledge what cards are in them. You can go through these decks before the game begins and determine which monsters you're going to use in your game. I've got all the monsters from the core set here out because those are all the ones that'll come up in decks made only of cards from the core set. However, if you've got expansion cards, I'll explain in my next video how to combine those, and then you should get out the monsters appropriately. So we start the setup of the seasonal phase by putting out the war tokens. These are war tokens. There's one for each of the 3 seasons. The game is 3 full rounds. So this is season 1, 2, and 3, and in each season you'll have 1 token for each province here on the board. Now these are going to be determined during the course of the game in which province's war actually takes place. However, whoever wins the conflict in that province will also gain this token. At the end of the game, this token is worth points equal to this number here, i.e. 2, which is not very much, because this is captured in the 2nd season. Any tokens you acquire in the 1st season are worth 1 point, and in the 3rd season are worth 3 points. But that's not really where you get your points from. You see, at the end of the game, you will get bonus points based on the number of different provinces you captured over the course of the game. If you captured 3 to 4, you'll get 10 points, 5 to 6, you'll get 20, and 7 to 8, you'll get 30 points. Now, 8 tokens would mean you'd won a conflict in each province, which is a pretty significant feat, especially in a game with, say, 3 players. We're going to put out a number of war tokens equal to 5 plus every player over 3, and this is conveniently marked on the board. So you can see here the 8 slots. However, we would only actually have 8 provinces going to war if there were 6 players, and that would be all 8 provinces. However, this would still be important because this tracks 2 things. In addition to tracking which provinces are going to war, this also tracks the order in which they go to war, which is very important. So I would shuffle this pile of Season 1 war tokens at this time. I'll also do this at the beginning of 2 and 3, but with the other decks. And then I will flip over randomly a number of tiles equal to the number of players I've got. Because this is a 3-player game, I stop at 5, but you can see here there's a 4, 5, and 6 for more players. So the first battle will take place in Oshu, then Nagato, then Kansai, Kyushu, and finally in Edo. The rest of these Season 1 tokens can be discarded because they won't be used in this game. Once that's done, we can reveal the season cards. So we take the spring deck, which is the first season, and we put all of the cards face up in order for people to be able to buy them. There are 5 different kinds of season cards in the game. The first one is this green one, which is noted here as an enhancement. Now these cards, once purchased, will remain in play, supporting you for the entire game. Enhancements typically give you ongoing bonuses to your clan. Virtue cards in blue tend to give you bonuses of victory points or money when you do things that are nice and kind and honorable. War upgrades help you in the war phase and typically give you things at the start of the war phase. These brown monster cards allow you to hire those monster models we were looking at earlier. In this case, we've got the Oni of Skulls and Kimono here, which is this chap here and this chap here. This will tell you how much they cost and also what their special abilities are. There's a fifth kind which isn't present in the spring deck and only present in the autumn deck, which is called winter upgrade. And these will give you bonuses at the end of the game for doing certain things. As far as I'm aware, the winter upgrades only appear in the autumn deck of seasonal upgrades and not in the spring and summer decks. You may have noticed just now when I was showing you that there are some duplicates as well, so you can just stack the duplicates up and put these out somewhere convenient where everyone can see them, or if you're short of table space like me, just put them somewhere face up where everybody can sort of see what's left and ask each other what they need. So, now that the seasonal cards are set up, everybody gets their seasonal income. Remember, this is an amount of money written on the back of their player boards, and here is the money here. And it's 7 for Lotus Clan, 6 for Turtle Clan, and only 5 for Koi Clan. So now that everybody's got their seasonal income, the last step of the seasonal setup phase is return hostages. But because this is the first season, we don't have any hostages. So now that we're done the seasonal setup phase, the next thing that happens is the tea ceremony. This is where everybody gets their little yin and yang pieces here and discusses whether or not they want to be allies or enemies. Now, we've got all these political mandates that are going to be coming out in the politics phase that are going to give us additional actions and bonuses based on whether or not we're allied. So in this stage, we'll be trying to negotiate with one another. We'll be considering things like who's winning, who's losing, who controls what territories, which conflicts they need to win in order to get more points. You know, how are they doing for completing their variety? I don't really mind if you keep winning Oshu because you're not going to get a lot of points for that. Variety is how you win this game, or get the biggest bonuses anyway. I'm also going to be thinking about whether or not you're honorable, because the less honor you have, the less you're punished for trying to betray me. Finally, I might be negotiating and saying, hey, give me some money. If you give me some money, I'll be your ally. Money is very, very important. There's only actually 2 resources in this game. Money and ronin. And ronin are also good, but without money, you can't use your ronin. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to ally Koi Clan with Lotus Clan. They like the look of each other because Lotus's ability benefits allies quite significantly. Lotus can alter political mandates, which means that they can help their ally get what they need if they haven't drawn the tiles they want. Furthermore, they're the 2 most honorable clans, so they have the least to lose by betraying one another. However, this also gives Turtle Clan the opportunity to betray with impunity. Now what I'm going to do is set up the board for some examples, and we'll jump straight to the war phase. So as the war phase begins, the board might look something like this. So the first thing we'll do in the war phase is put out these war tokens for each province in the order, so we know which order in which the conflicts will be activated. So Oshu is going to be conflict number 1. Conflict number 2 here in Nagato. Conflict 3 is here in Kansai. Conflict 4 in Kyushu. And conflict 5 here in Edo. So we start by looking at Oshu. Now in this case, we've got 2 allies. There are 3 kinds of conflicts. There are conflicts in which players are unchallenged, which means they're the only ones with strength in that province. There are conflicts where there are 2 allied players, like Oshu here, and there are conflicts where there are 2 or more unallied players. So in the case of Oshu, we simply count up the force of each clan there. What is force? Force represents the military strength of each unit in the game. Don't worry, it's really simple. Every unit has a force of 1, with some key exceptions. For example, monsters all have a force of 1, unless it says on their monster card. For example, our Oni of Skulls here says 3 force in any province where you have the lowest honor. So, for example, Lotus had an Oni of Skulls on their team. So, for example, if Lotus had an Oni of Skulls on their team, then here, he would have a force of 3, because Lotus's honor is lower than Koi's. However, here in Kansai, he would have a force of 1, because Turtle Clan has lower honor than Lotus Clan. Different monsters play with the honor track in different ways, so it's important to remember these things. Furthermore, the honor track can change for a number of reasons. For example, committing seppuku and betrayal. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Seppuku is a combat action. Here in Oshu, both players have a force of 1. Each bushi has a force of 1, so it's a tie. Ties are always broken by the honor track. This is super important. Ties in everything in this game are broken by the honor track. And that's why the honor track is so important. So in this case, Koi has more honor than Lotus Clan. So Koi will win this province. There won't even be a battle, which means you won't have an opportunity to take any battle actions. It's also important to note that you have to tell everybody how much money you have in the war phase. If anyone asks you how much money or ronin you have to tell them. It's not allowed to be secret information. Also, unlike in the politics phase and the tea ceremony, you cannot trade money or ronin in the war phase. Money and ronin is now a fixed value and cannot be given away or traded. So Koi Clan wins Oshu, which means that they take the Oshu war token. That's theirs now. They'll get 1 point for it at the end of the game, plus it'll count towards the sets that they're trying to build for all those bonus points. We take the little number and discard it. Then we move on to the second province, which is Nagato. So here in Nagato, we have an example of an unchallenged player. Lotus Clan is the only one with a soldier in Nagato, so they'll gain the war token for Nagato. Finally, we go into Kansai. Now here we have an example of a conflict that involves 2 unallied players. This conflict actually involves 3 players, 2 of whom are allied. So a bit more information on that, because now battle is going to take place. So note that a battle only takes place in a province where there are 2 or more unallied players. Battles are very simple and follow the 5 steps on this war advantages chart. They start with a seppuku phase, then a take hostage phase, then a higher ronin phase, then the battle outcome is determined, and finally an imperial poet's step. These are all different actions you can take during the course of the battle. If we look at this battle here in Kansai, we can see it's currently a draw between the Lotus and the Turtle Clan, both of whom have 3 force. The Koi Clan is well out of the fight with just 1 force. We note that both have a daimyo present as well. That's important. As it stands, Turtle is going to lose this fight because they have lower honor than Lotus Clan. And remember, honor breaks all ties. So Lotus Clan currently stand to win the Kansai province. Turtle Clan have a few options. They can commit seppuku. If you commit seppuku, you kill all possible models in that province. Now, you can kill basically everybody, so this includes monsters and daimyos. If your monsters and your daimyos are killed, they return to your reserve of models and can be redeployed with a recruit action in the political phase. Note that your daimyo cannot be taken hostage, so that makes him very important in the next step of the combat phase. But for every model you kill with a seppuku, you gain 1 honor, moving you up the honor track, or displacing the people above you, and you gain 1 important victory point. So, if the turtle player were to commit seppuku in this instance, these 3 models would be killed, he would go to the top of the honor track, and he would gain 3 victory points. Let's say he didn't want to commit seppuku and kill all his models. Maybe he wants to take hostages instead. When you take the hostage action, you can pick 1 model in the province to take hostage. Note that this model can also be monsters. Yep, they can take Oni hostage if they want. You could even take this river dragon hostage. I don't know how you do it. Giant nets, I guess. But you can take pretty much any model hostage with the exception of the daimyo, which cannot be taken hostage because it's a reliable model. But you pick 1 figure in the province and that's your hostage. When you take a figure hostage, you gain you steal a victory point from your opponent. So they lose 1 and you gain 1. But only if they have 1. If they don't have any, you can't steal any and nothing happens. Except you still get their model, which is important because now they have 1 less force. Or potentially more force, depending on who you kidnapped. Then there's the higher ronin step. These are the ronin tokens here. You will have acquired some of these, I hope, during the course of the political mandate step. And the ronin act as hired soldiers. For every ronin token you add to a province, your force increases by 1. However, you must first win the right to perform the higher ronin action and then have ronin tokens to add. If you do have ronin tokens, I don't know why you wouldn't want to just add them all, because more force is better. But once you have acquired ronin tokens and place them in the province, you will actually reclaim them at the end of the fight, and they can be used in every battle you have in any province over the course of that entire war phase. Finally, once kidnapping, seppuku, and higher ronin have been resolved, then we'll do battle outcome, where we count everybody's force, and whoever has the highest force wins the province, with ties being broken by honor. Then there's an imperial poet's step, and whoever took the imperial poet's action will then gain victory points equal to the number of models killed in this conflict. That doesn't include models taken hostage because they weren't killed. But who gets to take these actions? Well, in this province, they can all take any of the actions because they're all present in the conflict. Turtle and Lotus will be looking to take most actions, but you only get to take the actions you pay for. Hopefully when you start the combat phase, you'll start with a number of ronin and an amount of money. Remember, you have to tell your opponents how much money you have and how many ronin you have. I have 4 ronin and 7 money. In fact, I'm supposed to keep them outside my player screen until a conflict like this begins, in which case I hide them behind my player screen so that nobody can see what I'm doing. Because we are now going to bid on these actions in secret. I need to decide what I want to do in this conflict, and then I need to commit money to each action in turn if I want to take it. Whichever action I win, if I commit the most money to an action, I will win the right to take that action, and then I will get to do it. Furthermore, I can elect not to do it and simply bid on it to prevent my opponent from taking the action. For example, if I didn't have any ronin, but I knew that my opponent did, I might bid high on higher ronin just to stop them being able to place their ronin in the battle. You see, if they don't win this action, they can't use it. Note that if nobody bids on an action, for example, none of us have any ronin, then the action is simply skipped and not performed. So I may bid on seppuku because I want to prevent them from committing seppuku. I might bid on take hostage because I know that if I don't, they'll have too much force and I won't be able to beat them. Furthermore, take hostage will give me the ability to steal their victory points, and at the beginning of the season phase, hostages are returned, and for every hostage returned you get extra money. So there's an added bonus in the beginning of the next season phase. I'll have slightly more income. Finally, Imperial Poets gives me a victory point for every figure killed, so I may want to bid on this if I think there's going to be a lot of death. However, if I don't think anyone's actually going to die, then I might not bid on this. Once the battle outcome is resolved, whoever had the highest force kills everybody else's models except those in an alliance. If the Turtle Clan wins this conflict, all 3 Lotus Clan figures and the Koi Clan figure will be murdered. If the Lotus Clan wins this conflict, the 3 Turtle Clan figures will be murdered, but the Koi Clan can remain because they're allies. There's a catch, though. There's always a catch. I might not want to commit all my money to this endeavor because I might have more conflicts later on in this phase that I want to save my money for. If I don't put my money on the board to bid with, I can keep it and use it later. If I do put it down, then I'm going to lose it. But all is not lost. You see, if I win the fight, I must give my money to my opponents. I only give them the money I bet on my board here. So if I only put down 3 coins, I only have to give them the 3 coins. But if I put down all of my money, I have to give it all to them. Furthermore, if I didn't put any of it down, I can keep it all. If I lose the fight, I have to discard all of my money that I put on this board. So if I lose, I will lose all of the money on the board. If I win, I will have to give the money to the opponents. Let me show you. But first, what is Koi Clan going to do here? Koi Clan doesn't think they can win. But they could commit seppuku if they win the right to commit seppuku. Furthermore, if Koi takes a hostage action, they could help Lotus Clan against Turtle Clan. And because you can't trade money in this step, you can still negotiate. Remember, this game is all about negotiation. So you might get Lotus Clan players saying, hey, Koi Clan player, we're allies. And you know what would be really convenient for me? If you could take one of these Turtle Clan people hostage, because I don't think I have enough money to ensure I want to do all the actions that I want to do. But if you can buy the take hostages action and take a turtle person hostage, you'll get victory points, and you'll get money, and you'll help me out. What do you think? And Koi Clan's probably like, no, sorry, we don't like you that much. Or maybe they're experiencing goodwill. Maybe you help them out in the political phase, and they're like, yeah, sure, buddy. Who knows? It's a game of negotiations. Once everybody is done setting their bids, they'll reveal their boards simultaneously. In this instance, we see that Koi clan has made no bids whatsoever and will not really be involved in this fight. We can see that Lotus clan has bid 1-1-2-2 and Turtle has bid 1-2-1-1. So, they're both drawn on seppuku. Honor breaks ties. Lotus clan wins and decides they don't want to commit seppuku, so nothing happens. Next, we're on to take hostage. Turtle is put down 2, so Turtle wins this one, and they take one of the Lotus clan bushis hostage. Now, if anyone had any victory points, in this instance they would lose a victory point, and the person capturing their piece would gain a victory point. However, because everybody's on 0, nothing happens. If Turtle had 1, nothing would still happen, because there's nothing for them to steal, so long as Lotus is on 0. The next one is hire ronin. In this case, Lotus clan has won with 2 coins, and they can put all 4 of their ronin into this fight. Turtle clan would have known that Lotus clan had 4 ronins, and probably should have bet more on it and not kept this coin, but they might think they need it later for this battle in Edo. Next, we move on to battle outcome. Now we can see that with all these ronin, Lotus clan is the clear winner with 6 to Turtle's 3, in which case all 3 of Turtle's models are murdered and returned to their reserve. Finally, we move on to Imperial Poets. Again, Lotus clan has won this with 2 coins, so they will gain 3 victory points for the 3 models killed. Now, you probably should keep the models that were murdered nearby for this calculation before returning them to the player's reserves. Note that this model is not counted because it was taken hostage. Now, all of Turtle clan's money is returned to the bank. Rather, all the money they bet. They're able to keep this 1 coin that they held in reserve. Now Lotus divides their money between Turtle and Koi. Note that Koi lost the battle too, even though they're allied to Lotus, who won. So 3 coins to Koi and 3 coins to Turtle. If there was an odd number, Lotus would decide who gets the extra coin. Also note that now Turtle is in a bad position because they have very little money to take on Lotus's vast amount of money in the battle in Edo. I would also point out that if Koi had wanted to, they could have taken one of Lotus's characters hostage. This might have also given them an edge they needed to win in the fight, but because they knew that Lotus had so many ronin, they thought not to bother. However, with the highest honor, they could easily have backstabbed their ally without actually breaking their alliance. The war now moves on to Kyushu, where it's 2-1, and no battle will take place because they're allies. The final province going to war in this war phase is Edo. Note that here it's 3-2. Also note that strongholds cannot be killed or taken hostage. So if Turtle clan were to commit seppuku here, they would not actually remove one of their strongholds. Once the war phase is over, then everybody is forced to put all of their ronin and their coins back into the bank. Ronin and coins do not persist between seasons. However, models in their position on the board do persist. Also hang on to these tiles. These are how you're going to win the game. The final thing to do before we begin the next season is to reshuffle the political mandates. So with that in mind, let's look at what happens in the political phase and how we can get prepared to win these battles in the war phase. So we've around to the beginning of spring. The tea ceremony has been concluded and we're ready to move into the politics phase. In the very first season, spring, the player with the highest honor will begin, drawing the top 4 political mandates and choosing one to enact. However, with 7 rounds, we will not end with that player. And the player we end on will actually be altered depending on how many players we have. In summer and autumn, the player who is left of the player who last took an action will begin. So, Koi clan draws 4 political mandates, looks at them in secret, decides on one to enact, puts it down here, on the top of the political mandate track takes the remaining 3, puts them back on top of the mandate deck like this, and passes the deck to the next player. Before that player chooses a mandate, we will enact the recruit mandate. If we have a look at the political mandates here on our player board, which we have hidden behind our screen, this is the one with our war advantages on the other side, we can see what each action available to us does. The recruit action allows us to summon a figure at each of our strongholds. Then we may also send our shinto to worship at the shrines of the kami. Then there's a you and ally additional ability. Summon 1 additional figure. So the player who enacted this, plus their ally, may summon an additional figure. So in this case, this was enacted by Koi player. This means that Koi and Lotus can summon a figure at their stronghold, plus 1 additional figure. Note that this summon action can be used to summon anyone from your player reserve, which in this first round will include bushi and also shinto. Shinto placed on the board are exactly the same as bushi and have no specific benefits for being there. However, with a recruit action, shinto can also be summoned to the kami shrines and placed up here to worship. All of the kami shrines have different abilities, and they'll be enacted in order during the kami phase. Amaterasu moves you immediately to the top of the honor track. Fujin allows you to move men around the board. Hachiman gives you ronin, and Tsukuyomi gives you money. The player who gains this benefit will be the player with the most shinto worshipping at the shrine of that kami. Note that in the event of a tie, ties are broken by honor. So in this case, Lotus Clan has summoned 1 bushi to their stronghold and placed 1 shinto at the shrine of Amaterasu. Amaterasu. Note that Koi Clan enacted this action, which means that the Lotus Clan player is the first one to take it. Then Turtle will go, who can only place 1 figure. They can place a bushi at their stronghold, or they can place a shinto on any of the shrines. Finally, Koi Clan goes. And it's advantageous to go last because it'll allow you to see what your opponent did, and it will allow you to react to what they did. For example, if Koi also wants Fujin, they know they can put a shinto here and gain that bonus because they have the highest honor. Of course, that might change. In the case of all of the actions available, the player who enacted the mandate will always go last because it's always better to go last. In this case, with one exception, the train mandate, and I'll explain that when we get to it. So now that all players have enacted the recruit action, it's up to Lotus Clan to pick 4 mandates, choose 1 to enact, and then they will put the other 3 back on top without shuffling them in secret, without letting the other players see them, and pass them on to the next player. Now, the martial action allows us to move models around the board and build new strongholds. It shows us here on our handy player board that when we take the martial action, we can move each figures across 1 border or shipping route. We may also build a stronghold for 3 coins. These are shipping routes here and are noted by these dotted lines and pictures of ships on the ocean. These are borders here, and we can tell when borders are touching between provinces because they alternate colored dotted lines. So because Lotus Clan was the one to initiate this action, Turtle Clan will be the first one to go, moving each figure 1 space. Note that this is figures on the board. Shinto, once they're assigned to a shrine, cannot be moved during this phase, unless there's some special rule like a card or a clan ability that allows this to happen. Shinto can generally never be moved once they've been allocated to a kami shrine. However, at the end of the round, that is to say at the end of the war phase, when the cleanup is happening before the beginning of the next season, all Shinto will be reclaimed from shrines and returned to their owners, ready to be replayed with recruit actions later on. In this case, Turtle goes first, deciding to move all of their pieces into territories where war is going to take place. Note that they can move their stronghold because it's a turtle. However, Koi Clan, who goes next, cannot move their stronghold because it's not a turtle. Note that the Koi Clan can also build a stronghold because Lotus was the clan that took the action. Turtle are unable to build a stronghold because they are not allies with the clan that took the action. But they can still move all of their pieces. So if Koi decides to spend 3 coins returning it to a bank, they can take one of their strongholds and they can place that stronghold in any province they want. They don't need to be present there. They don't need to have force or extra force there. They can simply put the stronghold down wherever they want. So they should probably pick somewhere that gives them more flexibility in terms of where they're putting down troops and where those troops are going to move. For example, Kyushu. It's then the turn of the Lotus player, who will move their pieces around and also has the opportunity to build a stronghold if they so desire. Then it's Turtle player's turn, and he's also going to pick a mandate. So Turtle player has picked the train mandate. We can see here, for train mandate, it says, you go first. So note that this is the only mandate where the player who chose it goes first instead of last. Then it says, all players buy 1 available season card by paying its cost in money. You, an ally, pay 1 less. So this gives you a discount if you picked it and also a discount to your ally. However, in this case, only Turtle gains that bonus because Turtle has no allies. So let's have a look at some examples of some of these season cards. So here we have an enhancement, which is a green bordered card, and this is a permanent upgrade for your clan of some kind. This is Path of the Lion, and it says your daimyo has +1 force. So if you were to buy this, your daimyo, who is the leader of your clan, would count as 2 force instead of 1. Note that you can also get monsters that count as daimyos, and this would apply to them as well, at least as far as I'm aware. Here's Path of the Light, another enhancement. And this is a Shinto upgrade. It says at the end of the recruit mandate, you may place an extra Shinto on a shrine. So this allows you to place an extra figure during the recruit action, but it has to be a Shinto worshipping at a kami shrine. Then we've got Righteousness, which is a virtue upgrade. This will give you points for doing things that are honorable. It says, for each of your figures that is killed, gain a victory point. So this will give you extra victory points if you commit seppuku, for example, or if you're murdered in glorious battle. This is Benevolence, another virtue upgrade. When you spend any money, give 1 spent money to another player. If you do, gain an honor and 2 victory points. That's pretty good. This is Way of the Shogun. At the start of the war phase, gain 3 coins. That's pretty good too. That's a war upgrade. Finally, we've got the monster cards here. We've looked at Oni of Skulls already, who's got extra force if you are the most dishonorable player in the territory. We've also got Kamainu, the lucky golden dog man, and he just counts as a Shinto. So he's essentially just another one of your warrior priest figures, and he can go and worship at a kami shrine for you or come onto the board and act as a bushi. Now, you'll notice that all of the cards have a cost up here. This is the cost you have to play, and this is also the cost that is discounted if you were the one to play the train card, and the discount minimum is 0, so you can take Benevolence for free if you want. Also Path of the Light. Path of the Lion is actually free anyway, so whoever picks the train action, if this is what they want, they'll be able to take that for free first. For our final example here, we've got a winter upgrade, Form of the Phoenix. This says, end of the game. Gain 3 victory points for each different virtue card you have. Remember, the virtue cards are these ones here. And so you've got different kinds of winter upgrades. This one gives you 3 for every stronghold you have, and here for every monster you have. But some of these are associated with the different additional decks and may change depending on what kind of season deck you're playing. When you hire a monster through the train action, you can immediately place it on the board. Most of the time, this means placing it at a stronghold. However, if you are the Dragonfly clan, you can place it anywhere you want because that is your clan's special ability. And if it is Kamainu, which counts as a Shinto, you can also place it at this time in a shrine. So now it would be Koi's turn to pick the next political mandate, but first we've got this symbol here. This represents a kami step, which means we're going to look at these kami shrines and enact their effects. There are 3 kami steps in the political mandate phase. 1, 2, 3. before finally going to war. This means we move on into the war phase and that the political mandate and the political phase is done. When we enact the kami shrines, we check to see who's in charge. So we can see here that the Lotus clan has control of Amaterasu. This means they're going to move to the top of the honor track. There we go. We can see that Koi and Turtle are tied on the Fujin kami, but Koi has the higher honor. They win the tie and they take the action. Fujin allows the player to move 2 pieces. So in this case, they can move either 1 piece 2 spaces or 2 pieces 1 space each. The next kami is Hachiman, who gives 2 ronins to the player who controls the shrine, but no one's got it. Tsukuyomi, who gives 2 coins to the player who controls this shrine, but again, nobody has it. So Turtle passes the political mandates to Koi, who picks the next one, taking 4 off the top of the deck. They choose Harvest. We can see here that it says, all players collect a coin. Coins are really valuable, so that's pretty good. Then it says, you and ally collect rewards from each province where you have superior force. What does that mean? Well, during the war step, you may have noticed these little hexagons of resources attached to each province, and you may have wondered why these didn't come up. That's because these are attached to the harvest action. When you take the harvest action, you get these rewards in every province where you have superior force. And in Edo, Koi is tied with Turtle. However, Koi breaks ties, so they'll gain 2 victory points and 2 coins. They're also the only one present in Oshu, so they'll gain 3 coins for that. Here in Kansai, we have another tie, but now that Lotus is the top of the honor track, they'll gain 3 victory points. Here in Nagatu, Lotus is also going to gain a victory point, a coin, and a ronin. So Harvest is potentially a very potent action if you're allied. However, if you're not allied, the 1 coin can seem a little lackluster. The deck then passes to the Lotus clan, who draws 4, picks 1, and then passes them on to Turtle. We'll enact the recruit action again. Everybody gets more people on the table. Then there's going to be another kami step. Then it's up to Turtle, and Turtle's going to take the betray action. For the purposes of explaining the betray action, let's give the people some monsters. Let's give the Turtle clan the Oni of Skulls, and we'll put it here in their reserve. We're also going to take Kamainu, put it here in Nagato for the Lotus clan. First thing that happens when you betray is you replace any 2 figures from different players on the map with one of your own. So note that you cannot betray players at shrines. Also, you cannot betray daimyos. Daimyos are invincible to betrayals. It says here, daimyo, immune to betrayal, hostage, and other effects. Not seppuku though, they can still be killed. So then after you replace the models, if you have an alliance, break it and lose honor. So if you were in an alliance, you would no longer be in that alliance, and you would also lose an honor. Note that figures have to be replaced like for like, and you can't replace a daimyo. So Turtle player could take away this bushi and replace it with a bushi of their own. They could also take away this kamainu, which would go back to the Lotus player, and replace the kamainu with the Oni of Skulls, because they're both monsters, and that's a like for like trade. Note that Shinto at shrines do not count as on the map and cannot be swapped out with a betray action. Of course, imagine during the course of all of these actions, as these political mandates come down, everybody's negotiating with one another, offering each other money or ronin tokens in order to do different things, take different actions. You might be saying things like, if you don't put your troops in Kyoto, then I won't put my troops in Nagato. Or you might be saying things like, I will give you 2 ronin to put your troops in Nagato, or go to war with this person, or betray that person, or take this action. And the negotiations, you can literally negotiate as much as you want. But note that none of these agreements are binding. So you could easily make a deal, think you're agreed upon something, and then get betrayed. Or back out yourself and betray someone else. It's entirely up to you whether you want to honor your deals. Players will remember and potentially punish you for it later. So to summarize, once the game is set up, begin with seasonal setup, putting out the season cards, putting out the war tokens, giving everyone their seasonal income, returning any hostages, and a coin is gained from the bank for each hostage returned. In the tea ceremony step, you'll simply discuss whether or not you're going to ally with people. Then it's the political phase, where you play through all of these political mandates, stopping at every kami turn in order to enact the kami shrines in order from left to right. Finally, there's the war phase. In the war phase, you'll go through the conflicts in each province in the numbered order, which is important because of the way money works after the battle is resolved. When you resolve a battle, you go left to right across the battle advantages board, doing seppuku, then take hostage, then hire ronin, battle outcomes, imperial poets, and finally the conflict resolution, in which the winner gives money split between the losers. After that, it's tidy up, which means returning all ronin and coins to the bank. It means clearing up the political mandates and shuffling the political mandate deck, and returning all shinto from the kami shrines to their owners. Then it's time to begin the seasonal phase again. Once the third season, autumn, is complete, then the winter phase will take place. The winter phase is really very simple. Return any hostages. I'm not sure why that's important, but return any hostages. You're instructed to do that. Then you'll gain victory points for every war token you have. You'll gain 1 victory point for every season 1 token, 2 victory points for every season 2 token, and 3 victory points for every season 3 token that you possess. Finally, you'll gain bonus points for the variety you have. So 3 to 4 gets you 10, 5 to 6 gets you 20, 7 to 8 gets you 30 extra victory points. Once all those victory points have been added to your totals, also note that you would also add at this time the victory points from any winter upgrades you've purchased. At that point, it's time to determine the winner, which is the player with the most victory points, naturally. Of course, any tie on the victory point track is broken by honor. You will find as you play the game many different kinds of season cards offering variety and depth to the game. You will also find that each of these monsters interacts with the game in unique and interesting ways, unless they're the river dragon who just is force 5, making him a total badass. But he, or she, only comes out in the autumn step. Because otherwise, they'd just be murdering for too long. But I hope that's given you everything you need to know in order to play Rising Sun. You can, of course, change up your kami shrines, change up your clans, change up your season decks in order to get more variety out of the game. There really is a lot of variety. But if you want to know about more variety, check out my video which goes through all of the Kickstarter stuff, and I'll explain how you incorporate that in with the core set. It's actually very simple. But if you're ready to play, thanks very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow to play my own game of Rising Sun with Ollie, Michael, and Manon, and we'll be taking on 4 different clans. We're going to be playing with all of the Kickstarter stuff and just getting stuck in and seeing what anarchy we can cause. So I hope you'll come back and join us for that, and thank you very much for watching.